Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 22nd episode of the ArtaCast. Yeah, I'm very excited today because I have a lot. My head needs to. I need to say everything I want to say today because there's so much I want to say, and I hope it's the same for you. There's a lot, yeah, still a lot happening in the Lorcana world, although most people are not happy with the format, I would say, but yeah, still much to explore, and still some other things happened, and yeah, I feel a bit better about deck choices for me in this meta game, but we will talk about it. And I first of all ask you, how do you feel, Eddie, in the meta in the Locana world? Are you happy? Are you not happy? Are you hate it? Are you hating it?
I'm pretty happy. I'm like surprisingly happy. It's weird. It's kind of I think we kind of touched on it before in the past when we were talking about some formats that felt like they had a problem, is that sometimes it can feel like the world around you is on fire, but you're just kind of like relaxed about it all and it feels okay, or like maybe inside your little bubble you're protected. For me right now, that's taking the form of like the format when you look at the data is terrible and the fire is burning brightly. There is a very clear and serious problem going on, but for me I'm not like so phased by it because I am playing a deck that I really enjoy and is doing really well and feels super strong, which isn't a sapphire deck. So I've kind of, we made our thoughts clear very early on in the format about which cards we felt were problems and were likely overtuned. Um, we draw those conclusions quite quickly, and so it feels like we're front ending a lot of complaint on the set. Like right away, we're like, "This is a problem," because we've sort of spotted it is. So don't need to go over that ground again. We've already done that. We know what the issues are. Those are still problems, but for me, I'm remove myself from the Sapphire card discourse now. You know my point of view. Some of these cards are busted and need fixing, and I'm happy playing my green purple decks, which we'll get into a bit later. But yeah, I guess I don't know. Maybe are you feeling the same? This kind of like there are problems, but we're finding ways to have fun and finding ways to compete.
Um, yeah, yeah. Um, I think the format is still problematic. I think, and it's sometimes a bit frustrating because I think I'm making myself sometimes illusions about what I think is viable, but then I want to be high competitive, and then I think it's it's a weird decision to jump off the Sapphire train. I feel
Mm,
like I'm really tinkering around with some other stuff, and the green purple deck we will talk about it later is kind of one thing of that, but then I really want to invent something that is, I think, on the same power level than blue steel and blue red, but I can't see it too much, and it's a bit frustrating, but not too bad. That's true, yeah. I feel like sometimes I feel like the everyone. If you saw the tournament, I saw so many streams and only popsicles and Hyriams. I feel like I'm like Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. Like the horde of zombies, blah, popsicle Hyriam comes to me, and I'm pulling out my sword and want to fight all these these popsicle zombies. Which I had more success than I thought it did. Or I have to admit, you made the success for me because I was very low on the green purple deck, and you convinced me that it's good enough. So it's all your credit. And yeah, but as you said, I think we don't talk about anymore. Yeah, the format is problematic or something. We know the issues a bit. I think it's still a popsicle. I just want to make my voice for people because San and some other people made their voice for they want to ban Popsicle, and I think it's my opinion too that I really want to ban Popsicle. That's
Mm.
my true believing that I want this to happen. And but yeah, I think we talked about it too much. So I just want to say it once. I want to ban Popsicle, and that's it. And
Yep.
that's fine for me. But
Yeah,
still,
and
yeah,
I'd throw my hat in the ring with that as well. Yeah, that's the team I'm on. But like you say, there's no use lingering on it now until action's taken. Everyone's made their point clear, and people don't need to hear us kind of explain in
yeah,
detail the
yeah,
reasons why anymore. It's just these are the conclusions we've drawn. Let's try and have some fun.
yeah. Still, there were big tournaments in the weekend, and they
Hmm.
were it was a real. It was so funny. I was watching the JDC stream, and he was at some point he was only Sapphire. It was really funny to watch him watch him cast every game of Sapphire Mirror Match. It was so funny. But yeah, let's take a quick look still at. I sent you a new link right now
Yep.
from a decklist.
Yep.
There was a big tournament with 125 players, and they on Sunday, and they split the top four. And one top four was Bunny Balhaka, a player that I really looked up for Bannibal in the start of the game. I know I remember that because I was not very competitive and I watched all his videos.
Mm.
I don't think I needed to learn that much from him because I think I was a decent player at that time as well. But I learned from him. I still enjoyed his content so much, and he was an inspiration for me to go to start streaming and something. So I really like him as a player, and I
Yeah,
think he's
great
also
player.
very very good. And he had a very very bad season for how good he is. I think it was very unfortunate. Some missed out top cards, like me or you. Some missed out top
Mm.
cards, and yeah, just not was not able to put the step that you need sometimes, the bit of luck you need to have a really good outcome at some DLCs or something. And yeah, he played Ruby Sapphire. No surprise. Yeah, I just want to look short on this list. I think it's most of the things are solved out here. I like that he still runs Pirates Live. I'm very afraid of that card.
Yeah.
I I'm yeah, one lucky dime. It's a very toolboxy list, and I think that's the way to go for Red Blue.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Two Cusco
yeah,
is really nice as
yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah. I can really see
Yeah,
that. I personally think the six customer tour is too important. That I would rather run three probably because
Mhm.
the cost of including him is very low for that card advantage that he can provide. He's inkable, and but yeah, you have hard time to find deck space. I can understand it. Yeah, one B prep. I think I would also run one B prep. To not be yeah. Other than that, yeah, two Greatstone Dragons is a bit unusual, but yeah, good card. Why not? So congrats to Ball. Or do you have something to add? Maybe
Yeah,
not
no, I
on.
just think the interesting thing for me, like one of the from playing blue steel at the start of the set into red blue, quite often the situations would come down to like how well I could stick manners and stuff, and they would lose to the manners pretty often after board sweeps and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, the two Cusco are so good at
Mm-hmm.
filling like what is a specific gap. Even though this deck has a bunch of Mauis, like you think this can kill locations really easy. The Cusco is really flexible for just like open board. Sometimes you slam a mana after a B prep, and then they just Cusco, and suddenly they're way ahead. The game's completely back in their control. Um, yeah, love it. Love it as a two of. I think it's really good at filling that gap for them at the moment. In addition to being like really flexible item removal for mirrors and blue mirrors in general, that sort of thing. So yeah, had some frustrating experiences playing into Cusco's. So definitely like to see that coming up now.
And for me, yeah, man, you can see it. It's weird because people saying red blue is a superior deck because it performed way better than blue steel in the weekend. But I think personally, blue steel is way harder to play. So it could disrupt this a bit, you know. But I can see the reasons why people think red blue is the superior deck. But it's maybe not that important. The thing is, the crazy thing about red blue, I thought about it today, is if you want to counter red blue, which deck do you play?
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe hyper aggro, but even that is with all the Sisu stuff. Maybe it's still red purple, right? I don't know. I don't know. It
could be.
Yeah, it's if you have hard time to figure out what to, because blue steel I could see more things to counter it, but red blue I don't know how to counter it. I don't know the deck that it really struggles against, and that makes it obviously powerful. Obviously very powerful.
Yeah, well, there was after the tournaments this weekend, there was a chart shared with overall matchup data. Like,
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
pulled together, and yeah, it did have favorable matchups into pretty much everything, right? Like it did. It really. People used to joke about red purple, no bad matchups. Well, by the numbers, I think this actually has no bad matchups, or at least nothing like polarized, which is it's just terrifying. In the and it goes back to exactly what we were saying right at the start of the set of if you take away the existence of all of the blue steel bell decks feasts on the things that were bad matchups for red blue. Now what stops red blue?
Yeah.
Like in the past you were able to point to counters. Now those counters can't really be played because they fold so hard to blue steel. Well, this is now the world you're living in.
Yeah.
And I hate to say I told you so, but
Yeah.
kind of unfolding how we planned.
You told. Yeah. And you were right. I mean that the interesting thing is what I found against to play because what I found out against playing against blue decks, you really hope that they brick, and both decks, blue red and blue steel, both brick from time to time. But if they don't brick, they are really in their own league, you know. But they brick from time to time, and yeah, you just have to play a deck that's able to really is able then to close out games really fast, or to punish your opponent for bricking, you know. But yeah, let's talk about another top 4 deck, because that was very interesting, because that was green purple, and that is all I tell you. That's a long topic now, because I have so much to talk about this deck. I have a long history with the last week I had a long back and forth history with this deck, because I first thought it is complete trash, yeah, and then you told me it's not, and then I thought, okay, I evaluate your opinion very high. I try it out, and I tried it out. I played on a yeah, on a way we don't say it now, but I went 15-1 with this deck. 15-1 with your version of the deck. And
in best of threes.
Best of threes, yeah. And was able to 2-0 4 red blues. Yeah. I 2-0 4 red blues. And then I thought, okay, the problem is that the way we test, I often think I play against brain dead zombies or something. They must watch videos beside it or something, and just play their cards. Just to, for example, I played a mirror match, and then if you play this deck, trust me, friends, if you play this deck and you shift Diablo on turn 2, it's not correct. It's never correct to sing Sudden Chill with their Diablo. Okay, that's so bad because it does nothing when your opponent has 7 cards in his hand to randomly play a Sudden Chill. Then, so I think that's what I want to say. If you play against higher skill, not higher skill. I don't want to say higher skill, but people that are not tired of thinking, if you think a bit, I think you come to better that just randomly dump your hand and die to 1 Sudden Chill or something, so if a red blue player doesn't randomly just dump their hand, it gets a lot harder and probably wouldn't have that outcome that I had. But the discard strategy is a viable strategy against blue decks, and especially when you combine it with threats that they need to answer. So, for example, every threat you force them to have an answer is 1 less card you need to discard. Then that's surprisingly viable was for me. And against the rest of the field, it's also very viable. So I think red, blue, steel, and then green, purple is not that far. It's like you said, it's the tier 1.5 deck that has a good matchup against blue, steel, and it's not too bad against everything else. What I really don't like about this deck, and that's what I really want to point out, it's that it's sometimes absurd nonsense games, and I really hate that because I tested against myself today, like 2 hours or something, and I played red blue and this deck, and I shuffle up, take my opening hand, and I can see in the opening hand which player wins, and that's so often the case. And that's really not the direction I would like Lorcana to go, because if you don't have Diablo Shift and they have Popsicle Rampirum, it's over nearly, so you can say. And if you have Diablo Shift and they don't have a brawl, it's the opposite most of the time. So it's really weird, and I would like to have the games not being decided too much on the opening hand. But I know there's much that can still happen, but it feels often like that.
I want to explore that a little bit, because I think that's a really interesting thought, is that there is high variance in some of these games, in the sense that, like, you miss your Diablo Shift and it feels like the game is lost when your opponent has like the opening they want. You're attributing that experience to the fact that, like, to the openings with and without a shifted Diablo are very different, right? But how pronounced is that difference in some of your other matchups? Because to me, like, missing the best opening in your deck is fine and is often like acceptable with a lot of decks. The problem lies on the other side of the table there, which is that the line you've said the opponent is doing, which is just Popsicle Ramp Hiram. To me, the problem is that is too good. I don't look at this deck and think, oh, I need Diablo. If I don't draw Diablo, I wasn't able to compete with this red-blue deck. I don't want the swinging experience of that. I think, like, the issue is that we have to everything has to line up well for us to be able to compete with them, and it's not the fault of our variance baked into our deck. It's a fault of the power level and insane ceiling, or even insane floor of their deck. It's our thoughts on it are kind of two sides of the same coin. Your thought of, if I miss Diablo, I can't compete. I go into it. I'm like, if I draw Diablo, I can compete. Like, I'm really excited. I'm like, wow, I have draws that can keep up with red blue and put pressure on red blue, and I 2-0 red blue a lot. And so I like, that's just wanted to throw that in the ring. That's kind of the way I've been thinking and feeling about it. Is quite different, but it's like I say, different sides of the same coin.
No, I think your thinking is way better, way more healthy, because I probably have another how can I say that? Another pressure that you, because I
Mm.
would play with the thinking of playing Red Blue myself, and you probably wouldn't.
No, no, never
Uh,
would.
and because that last season crushed me too much, and I really
Hmm.
want to play not a deck that I think is, yeah, I want to play my best that I can, and yeah, and so I'm always playing around with thoughts like, do I play? Blue Steel is a really deck I really enjoy,
Hmm.
but Red Blue not, and
No.
yeah, so that's just thoughts that I have. But let's make even more thoughts on that if we saw if we see the when we look at the top four list here in the
Yep.
big tournament. With shout out to Zero to Hero, great
Yep.
great run. Top four in that meta game is with not a blue deck is an achievement.
Yeah, that's
And
a big achievement, something to be proud of.
yeah, um, his list, you see it here. I mean, the most numbers are solved out. I think there are just some cards that stand out for me a bit. I
Hmm.
just want to name them, and then you can say what you think. Only three
Yep.
crabs is very interesting for me.
Hmm.
Only three genie is also very interesting to me. Queen, I'm not convinced to be honest, but maybe yeah. Seems too. I mean, we don't raise that often. And sometimes we raise, but I don't know how you feel about it. I don't feel like I need this four lore, even if it's four lore to win the game. Um, yeah, two Quickies feels good for me. Two Lucifer, I think it's a very important card. I think that are really convinced that you really need to play four Hypnotize in that meta game. And I'm personally not convinced about the two cost item destruction song. But
Hmm.
I don't want to judge him or something. It's just it's very good, very good. I don't want to, very good showing here what you did. And
Yeah.
congrats on that. And I'm personally, we talked about that earlier. And maybe we talk about that soon. I'm not personally convinced about Prince John in Green Purple, but maybe we talk
Mm.
about that soon. Yeah. What do you think about the list?
Yeah. Um, my thoughts are pretty much exactly the same. It's not, I don't have. When you look at the cards here that are slightly different inclusions, like Queen and Set My Heart, you can see the logic behind them, and it makes sense. Like I get what you're saying. Like the Queen is for racing situations and has some utility with like shuffling a bunch of Porpsicles back into blue decks, and that can be good for stopping Tamatoa recursion a little bit. So they have a role to play, and I'm sure they perform that role pretty well and pretty consistently.
Mm,
For me, the only reason that cards like that, the only reason that I'm less inclined to put cards like that in my deck is because it's clear when you look at the list where the room has been made for them, and it's those things that like that's the only issue for me. That would be the difference with how I would build. Is that to me, four crab, four genie as a baseline is like a must,
yeah,
and four
yeah.
hypnotize as well. I can't see myself wanting to go down on the crab and genie. To me are like the two best cards in the deck. I
Mm-hmm.
personally wouldn't go below four, but I can understand why. I can understand why this player has, and you've got to try new things out as well. You've got to try some technology. You can't be afraid to fail. It's easy with hindsight to sort of look back at these things and think, well, why did I try that out? But like it's obviously gone really well on the day for this player, so that's great too. Um, I would be more conservative, but that's the nature of how I play, and it's like a
Yeah,
mindset
that's
thing. It's a mindset thing as well. Yeah, like I say, totally get the inclusions, really cool. I'm glad it's worked out, but for me, the issue isn't like it's not that I don't want to put these cards in my deck; it's that I don't want to make the room for them.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
want the fours, and yeah, it's I'm sure we'll get into this in a bit more detail when we look at our own lists in a minute, but like I think this deck is really, really tight. Like it's
it's very tight.
so close. It's so close to a fully solved deck in my mind. There are a small number of flex slots, and it's a really small number. And outside of that, I think people are really close to it. The version that is kind of has been shown to everyone. The version that came out of Europe to me is like really close to optimal, if not
Yeah,
optimized. You know, it's like a couple of personal preference cards, and then outside of that, you just don't want to be going down in numbers in these cards. In my opinion, but
yeah, it's
yeah,
still, for me, it's still not completely clear, because
okay,
I still feel from time to time there are too many fourths in general in the deck, or
okay,
like too many cards that do the same, and you have no versatility sometimes to adapt to them. I mean, you have then 4 crabs and 2 crickies, they do the same, and then you have
mm-hmm.
for Elsa and for we don't talk about Bruno, they do kind of the same, and then sometimes I miss something proactive, for example, and sometimes I
Yeah,
miss
sure,
something. So I would like to to flatten the numbers a bit out, but then you have to cut some fourths, and the fourths are all very great.
yeah,
And that's
really
the
difficult.
problem. That's the problem. So I think you could touch some numbers of Elsas and Brunos, for example. That's some cards like. I mean, they are great. They're, no doubt they are great. But if you want to do to put some threats into play, then it's most often important to play more earlier.
Mm,
Some threats to not fall behind too much, because that's what happens against a lot of matchups if you don't compete with putting either a lot of threats in the early game, or you draw trillion cards. So could see them sometimes a bit, but I agree with you. The most cards are solved out here, and like the Belgish team that invented the deck has made a really good job of uh, building the deck, of making the
mm,
numbers right.
yeah.
Yeah,
The deck was really close to finalized at the end of last set, which is kind of kind of wild with the shifts we've seen. Like there's not
yeah,
too much
yeah.
evolution that's happened this set. They had a lot of success at the end of
I
last
mean,
set, and
the new two
yeah,
drop Diablo is still a very good addition, I think.
yeah, really good. Yeah.
Also, the meta demands a bit of a different approach sometimes from time to time. But yeah,
Mm,
let's talk about our versions. I think the people
yeah.
could be interested in that.
Yeah, maybe we jump into mine first because it's so close to this one.
Yeah, okay.
I guess
Then we
I guess
do.
I've basically already talked about what's in it. It's just the issue for me is
Yeah, I think
like
that's.
with high consistency. I've had a lot of success.
Mm-hmm.
The deck has run really well, really smooth. I've been really happy with every single card that you see,
Mm-hmm.
even things that I underrated like improvise. I find it very easy to find, one excess ink when I really want one more strength on something to take a good trade, and plus all of all the other reasons why improvise is super good. It's yeah, to me, I've not wanted to branch out and try some of these like slightly more techie one-ofs, two-ofs. It just because this consistent core has yet to kind of fail me. It's been
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
really good.
that's
So
reasonable.
so this kind of build is like my starting point right now.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at this, it's really like you need to take a look at this and consider, okay, there are plenty of other things you could play, but what are you willing to cut?
I mean, that this is
To
the
get
stock list
your chosen
probably.
tech
That
in there.
this is stock
Yeah,
stock.
it's pretty stock for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
certainly close to what the stock list would be.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So I'm I think that you've probably got a lot more interesting thoughts on how
no,
the
no, no,
deck
no.
could potentially evolve.
No, I think the good thing about the deck is, for the version that you play, for example, it's so good against how can I say, against bad players. You
Yep.
will if you play, it's a perfect day one day one DLC list, for example. It's you will have a really good time. And I think and even that was for Green Steel also the case, and that makes it totally reasonable to play it like this. I think maybe I'm messing around with some cards that are probably maybe not even not. The problem is for improvise, for example, I played 16 best of threes. I played the card once, and the other. I almost always discarded it for Diablo or something. I played a lot of blue decks, and then it's not a card for blue decks. So.
Yeah.
It's always biased because I can really see you having finding a lot of spots to play it and to even get value out of it. So I don't doubt it in general. It's not. It's just my playtesting how it's working. But obviously, you don't often play that's the nature of the card because it's your first target discard for Diablo shift. So
exactly. It's your 15th and 16th action.
No,
17th and 18th.
So shall I show you
17th and 18th action? I just quickly do some math in my head. So it's a really high priority sort of thing to discard to Diablo, and that's a big part of its job as well.
I think you make
some other things in that slot.
I think it's right to play something cantrip effect.
Like it could be Heffalumps. That has use cases too.
I'm really liking the strike a good match, but then we talk about that now.
Yeah, sure. Let's have a look at your list.
Yeah, this is my version. I personally think I tested a lot against blue. Maybe I'm too crazy about that, but I really want to make this deck work against blue the most possible way it could be. And maybe
it's a good goal to have at the moment.
Yeah, but still, you don't have to. You still need to have some other matchups in mind. I found personally in my testing, Fox was a bit of underwhelming. Not too much, but I don't know how you feel about Fox. I'd rather play another character sometimes than bouncing is. I don't know. It's never really too much.
I still really like it. It's kind of like an essential tool for. It's often you still need the kind of fox and crab in combination with each other to do things like smashing manas, that sort of thing, and cleaning some of these things up. I will say that I think I overvalue fox through. It's not really muscle memory, but it's like the play patterns that we've. It's like the play patterns that we've been doing for the last year, and one of the things I keep doing with this deck that isn't very good in this deck compared to other green purple decks is okay. So I've spent the best part of a year now going 1-drop Ursula, Fox my Ursula, next turn Ursula plus another 2-drop, and I do that with this deck.
Slow.
I do that. Well, I do that with this deck again, and then when I look at my hand, I don't have another 2-drop. I bounce the Ursula. Next turn I'm going to replay it, and I'll also play Banzai. I don't play these good. These things that were good, you don't. This deck definitely does not have enough 2-drops to consistently make that line decent. You want to be playing a power 4-drop on 4, which makes bouncing the Ursula on turn 3 a worse option. So I definitely favour crab on that turn, and then fox is much more of a thing to be doing a bit later. But
Zero Fox
I could see going down.
Zero Fox is wrong, but I could see I could see maybe going down 1 or 2 copies to it's my most inked card, I could say. I don't know, not most inked card in the end game, the Diablos and stuff, but I really often ink it, and then it's always a bit dangerous position of a card if I ink it very often.
Sure.
What I'm really convinced, that's what I found. Ursula I saw this list and I thought, why do they not play Ursula? And you said Ursula stinks in this deck, and I trusted you. I played without Ursula, and then I put Ursula back, and I'm so 100% convinced about her. I can't. Especially in this blue meta where you have exactly only this Diablo as a must answer threat, and you have also Ursula. It's so great to have multiple threats they need to answer immediately. They can even ignore Genie, but I can't ignore Ursula. It's so great. It's so great. Especially, we can still do some crazy turns like turn 3 Diablo shift and play Ursula, and then they need to brawl one of them, and it's so great. And even in other matchups, it's a ticking time bundle as it was in green purple back in the days, where at some point you draw your friends or sudden chill, and then she's the perfect turn 3 play. This deck lacked a bit for me turn 3 plays, and Prince John is tricky. I know. Of course, I know why you play Prince John, and I think in some matchups he shines. But I think in the matchups I want to tune this deck for, he doesn't help too much because he doesn't help your discard game plan. He just provides you with card draw, and most of the time I think I win when I just discard my opponent and not. We have genies and friends and stuff. We have way more card draw than Green Steel has. So I think in Green Steel he's way more important than in our deck. And we also have some cantrips and Diablos and stuff. And I really thought about him. He is a trap a bit. Also in some matchups where you like Steel Song or something, where you want to play something proactive, then he's an uninkable do nothing card. And at least in these matchups you can ink the Ursula where you really don't need her. I'm really high on her, and I think it's the direction I want to go with the deck. And also I want to point out the Strike a Good Match. I really like that card. It also helped me. For example, I play the 2-drop Diablo on turn 2, and I still drew no shift Diablo. I still can sing it and then maybe find it with it and still shift it on that turn, for example. So it helps a lot of consistency for finding the opponent. It's very good to sing it with Diablo and Ursula 2-drop. And it had more use cases for me than the improver. I mean, more use cases. How we can say that it's of course a more quality card draw, you can say a bit, with the cost of being one cost higher. And it's obviously good with 3-drop Ursula. But it doesn't make a big difference if you play this over improvise it. It's not that it means the world. But I agree with many other things, or nearly anything. I think Lucifer is important. Cricky I love Cricky, and he's great. But yeah, also it's some one of these cards that doesn't help these matchups where it's I love him very much, really. I love the card. But I was searching for another discard, because this card is the way to go. This card is sometimes missing one card that discards your opponent loses you the game. And therefore I could also see me testing like Honey Lemon or even the 3-drop Anna is a bit the uninkable. I hate it, but I would like to have more one cool discard card that we have access to, but we don't have. That's that.
Yeah, I mean, you sold me pretty well on Ursa. I think, when I was playing the burn aggro version of Green Purple a few weeks ago, I was back in love with shifting Diablo and playing an Ursula on the same turn, and then for some reason I decided it's no good in discard. I totally get it. I see your reasoning completely. I probably will need to try it out. Talk to me about the one library though. That is something I'm not on
Um,
board with.
yeah, it's not super needed. I found it useful in of course in I think it's a very good deck for library because it's a first of all it's a good turn 3 play. That's what I
Hmm.
searched for. And
Okay, yeah.
then we have a lot of crabs and stuff, and we had a lot of durdling around
Mm.
weenie characters, and then it gets very annoying. If you play this on turn 3, then they run into it and we can grab our stuff and move it in there, and then it gets really really annoying for them to. I think it diversifies our threats a bit. Obviously it's good against CISO turns.
Hmm.
It's the only card we can play into a board that gets board wipe next turn. I would love to play more, but I don't find space. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's really really tough in this deck. I could see I could see me going down with some cards I love, but I think maybe are not good enough, like the Cricky. I also love the 2-cost Diablo, but on the other hand, he's a bit mid often. I love him. He's really good, but he's also weird. Um,
Yeah, I know what you
um,
mean.
um, and maybe we have to go more full of this high roll. I mean, Diablo helps our high roll stuff. To be honest, he's another shift target, but um, yeah, I want to maximize this card,
Mm.
and
That makes sense.
because I think against aggressive decks we are really good covered with this. If it sticks like this, like 4 crabs and 2 cricky are very good coverage for. Also in the end game we have Elsas and Brunos. They won't ever stick a character if they are on 18 law or something. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
red purple. When they chain their remains or something, we chain our Elsas and Brunos.
Yeah.
They will never get to 20. Often like Steel Song or something. I really like that part of the deck. That we have two tools to everything. Um, yeah, the game is decided often earlier, and that's what I struggle a bit.
Yeah, I get that.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of a departure from the play styles of other green purple decks, and one of the strengths of that was that like you were never really out of the game. You
Mm-hmm.
always had roots, no matter how, even if you sort of savagely lost tempo in the early game, you had roots back in. If your opponent outdrew you, you had sort of Clarabelles to refill. You could. What my favorite thing about the deck was that you had ways of restoring every kind of parity that you need in a
Mm-hmm.
card game. So
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
had ways to catch up on board, you had ways to catch up on cards, you had ways to catch up and get back ahead on lore. You could shift gears in pretty much every regard, and that's like the essence of why I love the deck so much. And you can definitely there are less chances to do that here, or at least like there are certain things that can happen in games that are harder to recover from.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a mixture of the deck and the metagame, I think.
What I really like about this deck, or about the power level of this deck, is that the opponent preventing the opponent from doing Popsicle Ramp Hiram
Hmm.
is really really hard to do in this game right now.
Hmm.
And the only way is nearly Diablo Shift, and that's what I really like about him,
Yep.
because it prevents my opponent from doing Hirems. And if you then follow up with an Ursula, they have another tough decision. Do they now play the Hirem, and then you hit them with this card, and if you then hypnotize double sudden chill, it's still they are not high on cards, and except especially when they ramped with Tipo, and
Hmm.
then yeah, that's what I really like about this deck. That it's
Yep.
capable of um yeah combating this Hiram nonsense. And that's a very powerful thing to do. I mean, the
Hmm.
Green Steel players will now roll their eyes because that's what they did forever, But yeah, this does this really reliable, really reliable. It's just funny when I test it. I don't know. It's magic or something. When I play my wife's deck, the red blue deck, I always have Popsicle Ramp Pyram. Always,
Yep.
every game, and I'm searching for this one. I only need the Diablo. I have so many one-cost Diablos and stuff, and I have so many spells in the deck. So the card I really only need is the 3-drop Diablo. So why can't I have this one 3-drop Diablo? Or I'm hoping to have. And they always, I don't know. This deck is magic. Red blue is pure magic to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, it's stupid.
Yeah, it does feel like because like you've got redundancy in your turn 2 ramp options, right? There are 8 cards that ramp you on turn 2, but sometimes it feels like there are 8 Hirams in the deck.
Yeah.
You're like,
and
these things always appear together in the exact same numbers. There are always 8 Porpsicles or 8 Hirams and 8 ramp effects. They appear in the exact same ratios, despite there being twice as many of one as there are the other. And they never miss it. They always have it. And like you say, the best thing you can do is force them to brawl on turn 3 instead of Hiraming, and then it creates a window where you might be able to discard some cards before they have 8 cards in hand.
Yeah. But yeah, I have to apologize at you to underestimating this deck. I'm really sorry. I hope you forgive me.
No, don't be sorry. It's tough being right.
It's tough.
Heavy.
It's tough being always right. It's tough being always right.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown. It's I forgive you. No, I'm glad you've come around to enjoying it, because I was having so much fun with it, and I appreciate it's kind of less fun for you. This isn't like your idea of a super fun deck, but you can appreciate its strengths and where it's positioned in the metagame, which is that's good. That's good too. And I think now, if you're kind of figuring out what direction to take, at least you have an option that is kind of has some similar play patterns to your favorite decks of the past. It's a bit different, but like this is favorable to playing red blue, right? Like you'd rather play this than red blue. Yeah.
So I also look forward to. I'm also already looking forward, searching for, because Ravensburger is not too far away. A Ravensburg event in 3 weeks, or when is it? And
it's pretty soon.
Then I will. If you ask me now, I will either play green, purple, or blue steel.
Yeah.
So messing around with both.
Cool.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad we're both landing in a good place, and it's nice. Like I said, kind of at the start of the episode, it's just nice to be excited about a deck that isn't a blue deck, because you put it really well when you say, like, if you want to compete, if your goal is to be a highly competitive player, you have to be flexible and you have to be ready to move and adapt. But there is a limit, and my limit is I've got a lower threshold than you do. I do not wish to play blue red or blue steel if I can avoid it. Locking blue steel for LCCC for me was a mistake, even though I think the deck is fantastic, because I don't have the focus or the will to continue developing a deck that I don't have fun with.
But that's reasonable. It would always be the case for me, but I really enjoy the deck. Nearly all versions of it. So the only deck I really don't enjoy is the Alice Kiwi version, but all other stuff is it's just not. I'm always afraid of playing a deck that goes super crazy into late game stuff, because that's what I don't want to do in a tournament. Is like playing every round like 55 minutes or something. That's not something I'm afraid of my TCG past. And that's maybe my main thing I went to more aggressive decks, but also in the meanwhile I like them more. So it's yeah, that's kind of my history. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very similar for me. It's kind of got the same motivations, which is probably why we've landed on similar decks,
Yeah.
similar styles of decks.
Yes.
Shall we have a look at
No,
LCCC?
now we do was something
Oh,
really
okay.
exciting because just for the listeners, we both will show us each other now the deck lists. We probably, I'm not completely convinced now because I really want to have your insight first. We probably will register now for the next round of LCCC, and I have one super spice in this deck, and I want to have this immediate reaction to it. That's why I told him I will not show it you before the podcast.
Before I look, can I make some can I make
Guesses.
guesses?
If you
Yeah,
guess
yeah,
it
yeah.
right, you get like
Right.
you get like I don't want to say you get something. I don't know. You get a
I
foil of
don't
your
get
choice.
anything.
You get a foil of your
Oh,
choice.
whoa. Okay,
Uh,
okay, so you really think that this is not something I don't know if I can
it's
name the
super
card.
spice. It's super spice.
I'm sure it's really terrible. Like this card is going to be so unplayable. But
No, it's not. I think
I
it's good in this meta in this thing. I yeah, but it's super spice. Yeah, it's super spice.
there's something that I know from having spent a lot of time talking to you now that you have a soft spot for. And I think you're always looking for an opportunity to include some big overstated vanilla character that with no abilities. And I think this is just going to be a big sack of stats that does nothing other than sit there. That's my prediction. Is it's going to be like
How do
I
you
don't even
know
know
me
what.
that good? How do you know me that good? So, do you know the card?
Um. Oh well, I have to go for the goat of being a big dumb stat stick, and that's Goofy, the giant steel Goofy. Is it? I can't.
No, that's not.
There are a
No.
bunch of others. Okay, then I'll wait and see. But
Okay. Then take a look now.
okay, I'm gonna open it up. I'm trying to find it. Waiting.
Which deck do we want to cover
Oh
first?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Which deck do you want to cover first? I tell you. Okay, let's talk about because I have so many thoughts about it. I have to say to say that.
Yeah. Let's have a look at your one.
Yes, I want to still abuse MacDuck Manners, because I think
Yep.
MacDuck Manor is a great card. I
Mm-hmm.
always have 2 Lucky Dimes in my opening hand.
Yep.
That's why I went go down to 1. Also, I think Lucky Dime is a card. There's so many matchups you don't want this card, and yeah, I think 1 has to be enough. I added 2 Visions of the Future because I think it's a very good consistency card. Searching for everything. Other things are kind of normal, except 2 cards, and that is first of all Let It Go, and then TikTok. So TikTok is a 5-cost 5/6. The people, I'm also looking for next round because next round I will play against Blue Steel no matter what. Yeah,
Yep.
because I play against Moin or Sen. They will put their deck full of Zeus and Cogsworth. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What I really like in mirror matches is singing Zeus and slamming down a mana. So what I
Mm-hmm.
really like is singing Let It Go with TikTok, putting down a mana. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the TikTok is unkillable, really unkillable. From from anything that's before Hades, and I really like the line Scrooge into TikTok, and then that's some some stats on the board. And then I sing my way to victory. And I had issues with this deck if I don't find Scrooge to have stats on the board, you know, so simply stats that can challenge into a location, that can challenge into anything. I think it's a perfect deck card. And now you tell me why I'm stupid.
Do you have any pirates to turn this ability on?
I thought about Smees, but I didn't find space.
Okay.
I could go
So
with T-post
my
down.
my question is there not like another 5-drop? Is there a
That doesn't
card
die
that
to
offers you
Zeus.
more? Yeah, is there another 5-drop that doesn't die to Zeus and sort of does?
No.
So TikTok versus like Chempo, for example.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? It's a 5-drop 4/7 instead of a 5/6.
Mm. Am I stupid? I thought about something like that. Why I think TikTok is better.
Well, it may very well be better that you just want to have a higher strength character in play. That's totally reasonable for taking out,
The problem is
all
it can
sorts of
take
stuff.
out Cogsworth and it can take out
Yeah,
Amator.
exactly.
That was my initial thought. And I think the
Yeah,
one more willpower didn't matter at all.
yeah, and I
Because
think
they
that's
will
valid. Yeah,
cut the Letter Storm Mage on probably.
yep.
Yeah, but Chen Po is, to be fair, also very good. I really want a singer. That's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
what I want. That's all what I want is a singer that doesn't die to Zeus. That's nearly everything I want in this deck. In the mirror
Yeah.
match. I always think if I sing something and then slam a mana, it's GG. That's so often I think that. And with the
Yeah.
Let It Goes, I think the Let It Goes could be very important in this matchup. And I could all the stuff that doesn't do anything, like Pete's. Yeah, that was my thinking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thinking is completely sound. When we look at mine in a minute, the, the core philosophy of I want to sing Zeus and slam a mana is exactly what I went into it with, and what I've ended up is a pretty different looking deck, but one that it does the same thing. The goal is to play big stuff and play big stuff that doesn't die too easily and slam a mana behind it. And I think,
Yeah,
we
that's good that you said it because I will think about Chenpo versus TikTok. TikTok has so much more style, yeah. So much
it's a
more.
big you gain serious style points for playing TikTok, yeah. And it is worth noting as well, if you had to play against Kurt again and he was playing Green Steel, like if you
Yeah.
go to the winners bracket final, Kurt comes back through the loser bracket now and you play him again in the final. If he shifts to Diablo and has a Smee in play, then your TikTok can attack Diablo because it's just it doesn't have to be your pirate character, it's just
Oh,
a pirate
really?
character yeah. If a pirate is in play. So if you can kill evasive stuff if
Oh.
they have a Smee. So that is something.
Or the big Pete is also a pirate, right? Or is it? I don't
Yes.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, but maybe I was thinking about cutting Tipo for Smees too. I will test it today. We have to submit the deck lists like this night, and I will
Yeah, in a
test it a
few
bit.
hours.
I will test this against normal blue steel, and then I see what works out. I could see me cutting because green steel could be. I thought about only next round, you know, but we are supposed to probably set up the deck list now for the rest of the tournament. So
Yeah, there's a chance we won't get another change.
yeah,
That's potentially going to be the decision that the decks are locked in now. And I was
um,
trying to do the same. Yeah, so I might have to do some serious thinking tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make a big difference. The crocodile seems super spicy, but I think it's not that spicy that it looks. You play a 5. I want to play a 5 drop that doesn't die to Zeus. That's everything. And the Cogsworth is weird. I think singing with Cogsworth is not very good. And yeah, singing with Cento or TikTok is way better. And yeah, it's also better against aggressive decks or something. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we've had the conversation about it because it does actually change some things for my thoughts on my deck as well. There may be, yeah, there's maybe something else I need to consider
Okay, let's
in that
take a
slot.
look now at your deck list.
Okay.
Okay, I like it very much.
Oh, that was easy. Job done.
Only thing I don't like is Cogsworth.
Yeah, I know. And that's the reason I'm down on them. It's just such a bad card into blue-red a lot of the time,
It's
and
also such a it's a very greedy card in my opinion. I mean,
yeah,
it's great when it's great, but it's so often doing nothing. Imagine your opponent plays a location or something, and you just have this Cogsworth in your hand, and you don't know what he's actually doing.
yeah,
And against really good players, he gets a lot worse because, yeah, they will see it coming, so they won't exert all of their stuff to make you a lot of 2-for-1 trades. It's very good into an open. It's way better into an open field, I think, or in closed deck lists, you could say.
yeah. It might be that I just want to play like 2 just overstated characters in that slot instead.
You mean like TikTok or something?
Like TikTok. No, I'm not going to play TikTok. I'm not going to steal your
Chenpo.
style. Yeah, maybe Chempo.
Yeah,
I'll
Chenpo
stick
is
to some.
great. Chenpo is really great.
Yeah, I'll stick to something a little more vanilla.
I like
But
ramping into the Scrooge. I mean, into your Scrooge. I like it a
I
lot.
love it. I really like that. That just when your opponent plays their turn 3 Scrooge, you play turn 3 bigger Scrooge.
I would also think about, if I were you, about Pete's. I don't. I know you. You
Yeah,
probably test way less than me with the deck. He doesn't do much right now. In my feeling, against Green Steel, he's sometimes great, but then he comes with the location Green Steel, and you think, lol. But other than Green Steel, I wouldn't like to have that card in my deck. But then maybe you get paired into him. But maybe just cut one Pete and add one Baboom or something. And for the other, or I would even go more down with the Pete's. It's also awkward for your curve. You want to ramp on turn 2, and then you want to play 4-drop.
Yep.
So
yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah. Maybe even.
Yeah, I'm liking a couple of like 2 Hades has been really good for me.
Yeah, 2 Hades is good. Maybe Cusco could see.
Yeah.
But if you play it like this, you won't be disappointed. I think that this is a very good list. I think it's not easy to overcome this deck.
No.
I'm not sure. Oh no, we have 2 red blues in the bracket, right? We have
Yes. Yeah, my next round there's a higher chance I play red blue than anything else.
Really?
Yeah, there's 2 red blues in that group.
But the DKP, you don't need item destruction, I think.
No.
Yeah, I think red blue is cool. Red blue is cool with this list. I think it's fine. You ramp up to Scrooge. Scrooge is very important.
Yeah.
And then you sing and plays a mana, and then hope.
Could consider 4 Scrooge.
Yeah.
It's a little much though. It starts to get bricky.
Yeah, no, I think I like 3. I like 3 probably. I would maybe also put 1 dime in or something. I don't know.
Yeah, the one dime is something I've been thinking of. Yeah, it probably does need to go in.
Just to have an out in
Yeah,
some
exactly.
situations where you don't
You
need.
gain some reach, yeah. Yeah. Okay, I think
Nice.
that's smart.
Or
I imagine that whole thing was going to be a lot more insulting each other. That was nowhere near as fun as I thought it
oh
was going to be.
yeah,
It
I
was
thought too. We are too
it was
nice to
only
each other.
useful.
We have
It was only useful and insightful.
yeah. I think we have too much respect for each other. Sadly, and
No, forget all
sadly,
that. Sadly.
no, I think yeah, I don't think that much that what you say is stupid. That's the problem. That's the thing. I don't. That's why I don't.
I'm quite proud that I was able to guess that your spicy inclusion was just going to be some fat.
That was a bit
It's
of
fats though.
scary for me. How can you know me that good? Um,
Because I
but
have
it's not
good
that
memory
it's
of
not that
things.
hard, but probably yeah.
I have strong memories of like messages from you, like about green purple. Maybe we can play the Louisa Madrigal. It's a 4/8 uninkable 6-drop that quests for 3. You're like, what deck can kill this? I'm like, you won't need to worry about the other deck killing you because you're just gonna look at it in your hand and think, what is this useless card? Um, I'm more worried about your ability to kill them.
Yeah, but you're right. I like that. I like fat big bodies that yeah just contest the board.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think. But to be honest, Scrooge showed everyone how good a 4 cost 4/4 is. You know,
yes, exactly.
it's far away from bad. You know, it's far
Yeah,
away from bad. Even if he doesn't hit anything, it's so annoying to play around that 4/4 for so many cards and decks and daisies and stuff and everything. So
yep.
don't underestimate it. Of course, you have to utilize that card too, but I owe you, uh, by the way, an
Mm-hmm.
answer from last week because I thought about dignity.
Oh,
Um,
nice. Let's get into this.
just at the end. Um, yeah, the answer is very simple and short.
Okay.
There is no dignity, as you said. Yeah. The thing is, dignity is stupid. You know, if you, I have nothing to add than last week. You know, it's dignity doesn't exist in card games. So that's my
No.
conclusion. It's not if your opponent does. I mean, every listener thinks that what do are they talking about? It's so nonsense, but it is nonsense, yeah, because you can't win with fair cards, you know. It's. I mean, you can win from time to time, but every deck should have the goal to do unfair things, you know. Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
that's um,
maybe a good conclusion is that cards get labeled as fair/unfair depending on what they do. But actually, there is only one. You may live by a personal moral and ethical code, but
mhm.
within the boundaries of this game, there is only one code, and those are the rules of the game.
Yeah,
There is no such thing in
yeah.
reality as a fair or unfair card. There are cards that are printed and legal within the game, and as long as you abide by all of the rules of the game and don't cheat, what you're doing is fair within the guidelines of that game. So
And
you should always be trying to do the most powerful thing within
yeah,
that. And if
yeah.
you oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say the problem is I don't wanna. I think there is still some. I don't want to invent decks, for example, that remove the interaction or the skill in the game. For example, if you play,
Yeah.
uh, that's not true, and that's not what I wanted to say. But if you play a Diablo deck, and the Diablo deck has a 50% win rate against everything,
Hmm.
and every game in this Diablo deck is decided in the opening hand. Then that's a bad direction, and it's a bad deck I invented, because it
Hmm.
has not the better win rate than everything else, but it removes the skill from the game. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I mean that's very theoretical and probably not true at all. But I would like to still invent decks that um, makes my way to victory through skill and not opening hand or example. I mean that the Diablo decks. I mean that the problem is I don't enjoy them that much. I'm a bit sad that I have to play them because I don't enjoy the playstyle because
Yeah, sure.
it's so high rolly. It's you have this. You hope every opening hand. I'm mulligan. I pray. I just pray. I have a Diablo. I mean, I know the game is not over if you have no Diablo, but it's all you search for is still Diablo. And if you're not having them, then you're feeling bad. It's not over then, but you're feeling bad, and that's
Mm.
not a playstyle I enjoy. And it's also through the mulligan rulings of this game, um, intended bit of an issue, I think. But maybe I'm alone with that because many people enjoy playing Diablo. You have just these sometimes non-games that you just win, and that's okay. And I don't judge anyone enjoying that. Yeah, don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, we could spend hours on it because
Yeah,
now you're kind of getting into the nature of variance and why it's important in some games. Like non-games in TCGs are like very commonplace. Coming from Magic, there is a inherent failure mode built into every deck. You can fail to draw lands and you don't get to play. Pretty much.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
in some rare cases it's fine, but like that if a game has zero variance based on chance,
No,
it
that's clear. Yeah,
becomes
yeah,
yeah, it becomes so homogenized. And but
yeah,
I
yeah.
totally get what you're saying. But like I'm fine with it for the most part. And yeah, I think maybe the reason I'm more comfortable with it is that I've been I've been crossing all my fingers and toes and hoping for the best on every mulligan like for the last year, that I feel like if I have a 2-drop Ursula in my hand versus not having it, regardless of what I'm doing, that like dramatically changes how I feel about the opening sequence of that game. I'm always want to do that on turn two, like almost always,
Mm-hmm.
unless I see it like something really telling in a turn one that kind of makes me so confident that I won't need it, I won't need the information. Um, yeah, I guess I've always been just hoping for these like specific run outs that I'm not. It doesn't feel too different to be mulliganing for Diablo. It doesn't feel that, and certainly not in this green purple Diablo deck as well, because like quite often I'll not have a Diablo to shift, but I still have 1-drop purple Diablo, an Ursula, and a crab, and I feel very comfortable with that run out. That's
Yeah,
super
but
medium,
what do you
super great.
crapping? I mean, they will not mindlessly quest with a bell or something.
Yeah,
So
but
yeah.
yeah, that's yeah. Then you raised a very good point, which is that like that is a good interactive opening, but it doesn't do anything against Porpsicle, Ramp, High Ramp,
Yeah.
which is a different matter. Um, I think that like a deck that can afford to basically develop nothing of any reasonable significance on board in the first 3 turns, like that then you're talking about a problem. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to create any pressure because you're just so safe to do that. And it's not like control decks in some other games where you do nothing for the first 3 turns because it's so important that you do something like hold up counter magic.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Mm-hmm.
doing you're just drawing cards and it's fine. It's like that's somehow
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
shouldn't be. It shouldn't be fine, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
You shouldn't feel safe enough to do that. And again, to make the same boring point over and over again, it's only permitted because other decks suppress the aggro things which do counter doing nothing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If red blue was the only deck doing nothing, you'd be able to play aggressive red purple, green purple builds like you were in previous sets. But you can't because of Bell blue steel. So, bleh. What do you want
Yeah.
to do about it? nothing. Just play a
Yeah.
Diablo deck and realize that you're enjoying the lesser of several evils in that particular moment in time.
Yes, and still there's something to. I think we'll talk about that next week probably, because we both will test the green purple deck more and then maybe come
Yeah, and
to
I've
new
got some
insights.
interesting thoughts as well. I've got some
Yeah,
stuff that I want to test
nice,
over the coming week that I think could be really cool. So yeah, looking forward to sharing our thoughts again next week.
nice. With that said, I think we can wrap it up, right?
Yeah,
Thanks everyone for listening. And yeah, thanks for always for listening. We have a lot of viewers always, and it's makes us happy, of course, and it improves every week, and that makes us very happy. So thank you for all that and for all the support. And yeah, till next week, and bye bye.
yeah. Bye bye.